All right, guys. So we got some sad news, especially if you're a Rick and Morty fan. It looks like Justin Roiland. That's Roiland.
Yes.
He's going to be no longer working.
He's been canceled
for Rick and Morty. And to me, I really want to get more into not just this whole situation with Justin Roiland, but just the state of Rick and Morty in general. Because Rick and Morty has definitely been one of the best shows on Adult Swim. It's almost been 10 years since it came out. So today I have, me, Chuku, and I have my other guests coming with me.
My name is Peter.
And then OC.
So I guess let's start with this decision with Justin Roiland being gone. How do you? I guess let's get to how this even started. Like, how do you feel about this whole allegations going in?
Well, so just a general backstory. Basically, apparently, two years ago, he was. There were accusations of him like being involved in domestic abuse, and after an investigation, they have now brought formal charges against him. And so it was once they brought the formal charges against him that Adult Swim decided to part ways with Justin Roiland in light of all of the information that they have. And, just to get off the bat, obviously we're just speaking on this from an audience perspective. We don't really know the details of what happened, whether or not these allegations are legit or whether they're not legit. So just going in with that, we don't really know of course we don't know all the details, but we're gonna speak on this because it affects something that we've enjoyed for a long time, which is the show Rick and Morty.
Yeah. And it's not even just Rick and Morty he's been off, but he's also off a video game company. I forgot what it's called. Yeah. But he's off of that, and I wouldn't be surprised if Solar Opposites, he may not be working on that anymore.
I don't think he is. I think he's off of that as well.
So yeah, but obviously I don't know. Again, we don't know whether it's true or not, but it is still sad that he's gone, and that even if, let's just say hypothetically this was false, the fact that it's still being like, well, because there's even just an allegation, we just have to kick him out. So I think that part's a little bit sad, but like, I don't know. What do you guys? Do you think this was a good decision for Adult Swim in terms of reputation wise, or?
I feel like that's just the go-to thing to do. If anything pops up, it's just automatically part ways with anyone. The Dodgers just did it with Trevor Bauer. So, and it's of similar situation, but maybe a little different, considering it was with multiple people. But yeah, man, I mean, I think it's that CYA, cover your ass kind of thing. So,
which, I mean, I kind of understand it from Adult Swim perspective. I think that the thing that makes sense to me is that they waited until the investigation was done and formal charges were brought. Like they didn't do this once the allegations were brought up like 2 years ago. They waited until the formal charges were brought, and then they were like, okay, now we got to kind of part ways. So I at least respect them for not being too knee jerk like we've seen with other cases, like with the Johnny Depp case. There were no really any formal charges brought against Johnny Depp before Warner Brothers kind of dropped him from everything. So it's not necessarily the same situation that we've kind of seen with other cancellations, basically. So I understand Adult Swim kind of waiting and holding off until formal charges were brought up against him and then making the decision. But that being said, again, we don't know if these allegations are legit or not. So we'll just have to wait and see.
So yeah, that's the the whole politics of the situation. But we want to talk to the real stuff, which is the show Rick and Morty.
Yeah, exactly.
This to me is a big L for the show, if you will. I think because obviously he does the voices for Rick and Morty, and also many different voices. He was the Meeseeks. He was Mr. Poopy Butthole. He's basically every random voice, and there's probably lists of characters. But
was he Mrs. Refrigerator?
I don't know.
A reverse giraffe?
I don't know. Maybe he was. Maybe, I don't know. He's a really good voice actor. But what makes it to me scary is not the voice acting aspect. Like voice acting, it's as much as it would suck to have someone replace. I think that can be something that they can find someone who can maybe mimic or whatever. But I think the worrying part for me is that he's also the co-creator.
Yeah.
So this affects the dynamic of the series. And anybody who knows Justin Roiland's style of comedy, I feel like Rick and Morty bounces off of him and Dan Harmon, who's the second creator of the show. Because Dan Harmon, if you've seen shows like Community, he has a very structured, very like subtly clever kind of comedy. And Justin Roiland, he's just wild. He's just speaking his mind, whatever. And it balances each other out. And that's why the show is sort of known to be a dumb, smart show, where someone's doing the dumb shit and then the other person makes a reason behind it and gives more depth to it. So that's the part I'm scared about, that the show dynamic is going to be completely different and it's just not going to be the same. And it's going to really hurt the series. But yeah, what's your guys' thoughts on this whole thing?
I could definitely agree with you there. It's going to be like Black Sabbath without Ozzy Osbourne, or Brockhampton without Amir, or Van Halen without David Lee Roth. So it's just like the only thing that makes sense in my mind is if they just go into another universe where he just never existed, and it's just like, you know, it'll be like normal, you know.
I do think they're going to
C-138, you know,
address this in some sort of subtle way in the future of the episodes. Yeah, that would be really interesting. But yeah, I do agree that there's definitely going to be a shift in the tone of the show moving forward, because one of the key creators behind the show is gone now. Well, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, my enjoyment of Rick and Morty in the past few seasons has kind of waned. So I'm honestly curious if this is going to torpedo the show or if it might improve the show a little bit. I gotta kind of wait and see, because this is definitely gonna change the show. So I'm gonna wait and see if it will change it for the better or for the worse.
Personally, since I've been catching up with it, and you know, even Peter, me and him, we talk about the show. It's, for me, it's been kind of going more downhill. I mean, it is kind of done some things to improve, but like if I were to go after season 3, season 4, there was half of it I didn't even want to watch again, and then the other half was okay. Season 5 had a lot of meh episodes, but then the ending, at least the last 3 episodes, were solid.
With the evil Morty, right?
Yeah, because they put
the yellow portal gun and
stuff. Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
That was really solid. And then season 6, although I love the concepts of a lot of the episodes, most of it were kind of like,
I feel like season 6 had to be the closest to season 2, which in my opinion is the, like, you know, peak of Rick and Morty. That season 2 is just so classic. Season 1 as well. You know, the episodes that really got me was the one where Jerry was running away from his fortune of having sex with his mother. I was just dying the whole episode, and it really made me feel like of when I first saw it, you know. And so you guys are right. It's definitely hasn't been the same since it's first come out, but I mean, that's to be expected, as you know, there was multiple years between each seasons and stuff, and now we're getting it a little bit quicker. But
yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I think for me, the biggest problem for me, at least with the quality, is that I guess the way the show is like the show had a balance between like meta humor and philosophical points, as well as like showing like sometimes it's like, you know, Rick, and I always think about that episode with the space part, right? Where it's like Morty has this virtue of what is right, and then he's learning that there's really no right. So it's like,
oh yeah, the one who sings like the David Bowie songs.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
That was like one of the best episodes of the show.
Yeah,
but it had that kind of. I like that the show, like I said, it was a show that they'll do dumb things, but had a smart reason behind it.
Yeah.
But it seems like that nature of the show is starting to die as it got more, and now the fact that Justin Roiland is going to be gone, my worry and my personal take, what I think they should do, hypothetically, is since season 7's already written, so season 7, his story is in there, I think that should be the last season. And then if, for whatever reason, if they can get Justin Roiland future-wise, they make a movie and end everything off in the series, every wrap-up, every plot line. Because to be honest with you, the main reason that's catching me up with Rick and Morty is the story of like, okay, we now realize that there's this Prime Rick, and Prime Rick is the one who started all this stuff. So where is this going? So the plot stuff is kind of the thing that's keeping me in Rick and Morty now, as opposed to the wild shenanigans.
Yeah.
So I think that's the direction I think they could, or at least I would want them to do. But again, I think they were announced that they had 70 episodes after season 1. So I think they have to finish that contract. And then I don't know, Adult Swim, they're going to be like, this is their number 1 show. I don't think they're just going to let it go, even if Dan Harmon was like, I don't want to do it. So it's a complicated situation altogether.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I don't even know if we have solar opposites to fall back on now because that's half of the show's gone now, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sucky thing. And for those people who don't understand how much a show is different with a writer being gone, I would commend you to watch a show called Supernatural, because after season 5, you will notice how different it was after that. And it's just it plays a big role. That's why for me I take it like personally. It's not just like, oh, this guy is there, we can just replace him. It's like, no, this guy is a voice. He's literally the entity of all these characters. You take him away, it's gonna feel something else. So
It'll feel different for sure.
As far as like the concept of the show, it was originated from both of them, or did someone have the idea first?
Technically, Justin Roiland had it first,
Yeah.
and then Dan Harmon played off of it. But I think the way it actually worked, because the way it was pitched, it was that Dan Harmon was able to pitch it up to Adult Swim, and then originally they were going to have different voices, but Justin Roiland was like, no, I have to do Rick and Morty. I have to do Rick and Morty. He fought for Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
So then he did it, and it was like, it works with it. Cause,
so classic,
So,
okay.
So yeah, he was the one who technically created the concept. And obviously it was based off Back to the Future. So
Yeah.
it was his interpretations of those characters. So yeah, I don't know what to say, man. It sucks.
Could you imagine a drunk Doc Brown, just running around with Marty McFly,
Yeah, I mean, that's the show. That's Rick and Morty. That's Rick and Morty.
Yeah, man. But yeah, any other last thoughts?
Any final thoughts?
I feel like I just gotta say, like, I hope he gets the help he needs, and I hope he could spend this time in his loss of job security, just reflecting on who he's been and now deciding who he needs to be and figuring that out. And then I guess for all the fans and people out there, he who has not sinned cast first stone, my prayers out to everyone affected, because it's very unfortunate. But at the same time, I know no one's perfect, so.
Yeah.
Not defending him in any ways for doing the things he did, if he did them, but still,
I feel like with the show Rick and Morty, it's all about seeing the other side of people, just because we think this person's toxic, there's probably a different side that we don't see, and they cause
he just
Like we
needs to
said.
get all the toxicness out of him, like that one episode.
Yeah, the toxic Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we said, we don't know any of the details. None of us were there, so we're not gonna place judgment on that aspect of it. We're just purely focused on how it's going to affect the entertainment that we enjoy.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can have some good episodes of Rick and Morty in the future. I guess we just got to wait and see, but I'm gonna hope for the best.
Yeah, I know. I mean, who knows? I mean, there are some people who I surprisingly don't like Justin Roiland's humor. They don't like the whole stuttering, all that stuff. Although I would say in the recent seasons, I don't see them doing the stuttering much. But who knows? Maybe this direction might, it might be better, or at least appeal to different people who be more into Rick and Morty, because they're like, maybe they're not into the gross out humor that Justin Roiland's known for. So.
Yeah, man. Maybe we can get a second revival on the Szechuan sauce.
Yeah.
That I feel like that's when the peak of Rick and Morty really happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
All right.
Szechuan sauce. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about this whole situation, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It was nice hearing you.
Peace.
Peace.